Our MC was blindsided when a suit nervously said he was fired, blaming the economy. This poor guy, Lee Yunho, had been grinding as a contractor for 2 whole years, giving his all just to land a permanent spot, while the boss droned on with excuses. Lee Yunho just stared at the old guy, then silently pushed himself up from his chair, but getting up wasn't smooth. You could see he struggled a bit, thanks to a noticeable limp in his leg. No more company lunches in the yard. He glanced at the sky, realizing that, weirdly enough, he'd actually missed this place. See, he used to be an athlete, always on the move. Until an accident shattered his leg and his dreams. He was just wishing he could run one last time when a voice cut in. It was a girl named Kim Jun, asking his thoughts. She was another contractor, a secretary who'd started just a week after him. Yunho just mumbled, he was thinking about work. She laughed, saying, "It's not like you got fired or anything," then immediately regretted it when she saw his face. "Oh, he did." She got all flustered, apologizing to Yunho as they talked about when he had to pack up and leave for good. Then, bam, a system announcement blared out of nowhere, confusing everyone. It literally said, the entire planet was being sold. Just then, team leader Jin showed up, telling Yunho to hurry up and get out. Our boy only had 15 minutes to pack his life. The jerk started dissing him, but Jun jumped in to defend Yunho, but he shot back that defective people should act better. And just like that, the first mission kicked off out of nowhere. They had 10 minutes to get inside a zone that just materialized behind them. The team leader and his cronies just stood there, baffled by it all. Yunho, however, felt a weird vibe. The 2 goons just walked off, mocking our boy and mimicking his limp. Jun apologized again for them, but Yunho just brushed it off, saying he was fine. They moved on, talking about new job prospects. At the same time, those 2 jerks found themselves stuck when the door wouldn't budge. Jun and Yunho stumbled into the green zone just as the timer hit 0. They watched in horror as everyone outside the zone was just erased. A system window popped up right in front of Yunho's face, presenting him with a reward board. He picked Restore Leg, which healed by 20% instantly. They were both terrified, wondering who was behind all this. And just like that, the second mission started. A new safe zone appeared at random. This time, the time limit was only 5 minutes. They had to book it, because this next mission was clearly going to be way tougher. The system called it Restructuring and said only the most valuable people would survive. Jun's face went pale as it all clicked. She knew it meant people would fight to survive or to snag mission rewards. On the plus side for Yunho, walking was already feeling much easier. They decided to make the first move. After all, Yunho was already getting restructured from his job. He tossed his old company ID card, now fully committed to surviving this thing. First order of business, find some makeshift weapons. Jun was totally lost, not sure what to even look for. And, yeah, finding a weapon in an office building is harder than it sounds. Lee Yunho was drawing a blank too, honestly. But the plan was simple, just grab anything that looked remotely useful and hope for the best. She looked confused. So he laid out the plan, they just chill on the roof for 5 minutes. And if a safe zone ain't upstairs, they're booking it to the stairs, since it could get packed or some jerk might try to sabotage them. Yunho was in bad shape. He was super slow compared to everyone else. But if he could just fix his busted leg, he was ready to power through it. The next mission kicked off, with a time limit of 10 minutes. Jun's jaw dropped when she saw a detailed map on the system screen. The green spots were safe zones on the 19th, 11th, and 3rd floors. Lee Yunho was heading for the closest one on the 19th, slowly limping down the stairs. Jun got worried. He was panting hard from the strain. They had a little time, so Jun offered Lee Yunho a chance to catch his breath. But he refused. This was tough for Yunho, sure, but compared to his old training regimen, this was a cakewalk. He was so happy he could have cried. Finally feeling his toes again, when they made it to the 19th floor, they started bolting toward the safe zone. But once they burst through the door, they saw the room was empty. But at the safe zone, people were brawling. Jun panicked, worried they wouldn't get in. But judging by its size, the safe zone should fit over 100 people. Lee Yunho figured it out using stride length, leaving Jun totally floored by his skills. It was a habit from his track and field days that got way worse after his accident, so they decided to just dive in for now. The clock showed 51 seconds left. People inside were desperately trying to make more room. and they were just throwing fists at each other. June and Lee Yunho stayed glued to each other. Suddenly, they heard a yell for help. June froze when she saw their team leader. He spotted her and began screaming his head off for help. She wanted to save him, but Yunho grabbed her, warning that, if she helped, she would probably get eliminated too. But June bolted for him as the timer hit 5 seconds. She shoved people out of the way, trying to reach him. She managed to grab his hand, but the timer ran out. His body was still outside the zone as she started to yank him in. When she opened her eyes, she was horrified to see the man dead at her feet, and she let out a blood-curdling scream. Lee Yunho rushed over to calm her. He was stunned when he saw 1,073 people had been restructured. That's a huge number. The survivors now totaled 723. He tried to get her to calm down, but his efforts were useless. She was completely shattered. Then, an idea hit him. He pulled up the system window to select strength and mental fortitude as her reward. The option was actually there. He told June to follow his instructions exactly, and she nodded. He then boosted her mental fortitude. Suddenly, a golden aura began to radiate from her body. Yunho thought the process had backfired and worried they'd have to face even more messed up sights up ahead. Suddenly, Jun stood up, completely devoid of any emotion. She even started peeling off her stockings real quick. It was like flipping a switch. Yunho couldn't believe it changed her so much in a flash. Everyone else was probably thinking the same thing. He pulled up the status window, determined to get as much information as he could for whatever was coming next. He asked if he could get immunity from future restructuring as a reward, but the system replied that it wasn't an option. He then asked about weapons, like a gun, but the system gave him another hard no. Lee Yunho steeled himself to show off the patience he'd built up with a bad leg in Korea. So he asked about precognition, or maybe the ability to fly. He was floored when the system shot back. Cannot be selected at the current stage. He asked if there's another stage after this, but the system ghosted him. Still, that was enough for Lee Yunho. He had no clue who was behind this crazy restructuring, but he knew this wasn't going to end as just some simple territory game. He started healing his leg, hitting a 70% recovery rate. With this much progress, he couldn't sprint yet, but he could definitely run. Then June showed up, shocked to see his leg getting better. It wasn't fully healed, though he needed one more go for a full recovery. Then, new safe zones were created. The nearest one was on the 2nd floor, so they headed there. June then asked if she could ask him something. He gave her the okay. She said, when the team leader got split in two, you barely even flinched. The big reason was the mental game Lee Yunho built as a track star, plus the trauma of seeing his parents die in an accident as a kid. June felt bad and apologized. But really, it was also his leg being more than halfway healed that kept him cool. And the fact they'd bonded after surviving 2 crazy missions together. Over at the 3rd safe zone, a dude clocked another guy who dropped dead. He was blocking the entrance. So, how'd this happen? Let's rewind a bit. June and Lee Yunho were bolting down the stairs, hoping for a spot in the safe zone, but a large guy was playing bouncer, waving a stick around and telling everyone to get lost. June and Lee Yunho arrived at the chaotic scene. Everyone immediately started yelling at him, but he just hurled insults back, saying they treated him like dirt just for being a contract worker. He was Dongguk, from operations support. She explained he joined a few years back to cover for someone, but he was about to be laid off with the other temps, so they were in the same boat as Lee Yunho. Lee Yunho had seen him around before. Despite his size, he was always hunched over, looking timid. Lee Yunho heard he was sensitive with a short fuse. Then an old man started yelling at him. It was Deputy Oang Mu, his own department head. Dongguk just gritted his teeth. Seeing red, he decked the old man and started trashing him. The old guy fell down dead, and everyone just froze in shock. June thought one guy was trying to drain the life from the other, who then lost his cool and ended up taking him out. But Lee Yunho explained this wasn't just a heat-of-the-moment thing. Right after, his pupils were shaking like crazy, and he was gasping for air, hands trembling. This guy was clearly not used to any kind of violence, but the ceramic shards ready as weapons. The various pots set up to be thrown like projectiles. He'd been plotting this for a while. He must have already imagined taking out everyone in the office. Dongguk was screaming at everyone. Some people bailed to try another floor since time was running out. Dongguk was completely off the rails. So, June thought talking was useless. But Lee Yunho walked up, thinking if they could calm him, they might get a chance to talk. June was worried sick for him. Lee Yunho stood before Donguk, and the clock was ticking down. Lee Yunho told him he was just digging his own grave. Seeing his confused face, Yunho explained that people would start cooperating, and they'd start looking for allies to fight back. Then, he brought up a key player. But what about him? Deputy Kwok, a guy who took out his own colleague, he stated bluntly, would be marked as the biggest threat they'd need to eliminate first, to survive. It was way smarter to build alliances beforehand. And for Donguk, it wasn't too late to switch gears. He wasn't the only one with a bone to pick with Oh Sung-moo. If they just stopped now, everyone else would totally get it. Lee Yunho waited to see how he'd react. Donguk was quiet for a sec, reached out his hand, then grabbed a nearby pot instead. June screamed a warning at Lee Yunho as the pot flew, but it hit someone else. Yunho dodged it, and the big dude got furious, cussing him out. That was a super close call for Lee Yunho. If he hadn't calculated the distance perfectly, he'd have been toast. And time was running out. Out of nowhere, a status window popped up in front of him, and it was calculating the data required to unlock a brand new skill. Lee Yunho was totally baffled. He'd never seen this before. Just then, June screamed his name as the big guy lunged in for an attack. But before the attack could connect, someone yanked him back. Lee Yunho looked over. It was a total stranger he'd never seen before. A little later, Lee Yunho was thanking the guy, whose name was Ji-hook. He worked for the Ho Trading Company on the 7th floor. Ji-hook suggested heading down, hoping the two of them could make it through to the very end. But Lee Yunho told him it was already way too late. It was safe to bet the golden hour for the other safe zones had already passed, and he couldn't rule out the chance the same mess was happening below. That's when Lee Yunho realized Ji-hook was a former soldier. Ji-hook, totally shocked, confirmed he was discharged last year as an army staff sergeant. And with that, they decided to team up. They needed a shield to block attacks, something they could rig up in the office. Just then, a brilliant idea hit Lee Yunho, and he told them, "Hey, take a look over there for a sec." They all looked, and June asked Yunho if he was actually serious about that. The clock was ticking 1 minute and 44 seconds left. They decided to just smash through from the other side. Everyone was yelling at the big guy when suddenly a girl ran up, crying and begging him to please let her inside. The girl was stunned when he asked, "So, what are you gonna do for me?" He said she couldn't just beg for her life with some basic plea. The big guy was then shocked to see Lee Yunho's crew holding a massive glass window. The clock showed only 15 seconds left. Lee Yunho gave the signal to charge, using the glass as a shield. They began ramming it into the entrance. The big guy was confused, so he just closed his eyes and smashed the glass panel. The middle of it shattered from the blow. It was finally Lee Yunho's turn. While they were holding the big guy back, he whipped out a box cutter, and suddenly there was blood everywhere. Lee Yunho screamed out Ji-hook's name as the timer hit 8 seconds. Ji-hook collapsed to the floor, clutching his fresh wound. Lee Yunho leaped at the big guy and threw a kick right at his face, but the dude actually managed to block it. But then, Lee Yunho swung his Viper, smacking the big dude and sending him flying. He yelled at June to grab Ji-hook and get clear of the area. Fast, Lee Yunho turned back to the big guy, who was cussing him out while slowly getting to his feet. Lee Yunho just stood there, ready. The big dude let out a huge roar and started charging straight at him. That's when Yunho realized all beasts feel the same way. Feels when rage mode is on. Their brains just check out, using their whole body to throw a massive, angry tantrum, just blindly charging at their target. So when the big guy was about to pounce on him, he did a slick sidestep, making the big guy land outside the safe zone. The timer hit 0, and folks started poofing out of existence. The big guy was screaming his lungs out as he poofed. And bam. Mission complete. Lee Yunho immediately started dumping points into his leg, insta-healing it back to 100%. He was totally back on his feet again. That's when Jin called out to Yunho. She was super happy for him and gave congrats, and he thanked her right back. Our boy had finally entered the land of the walking. Most people would have gone for a superhuman power-up instead of just healing. Then they heard a weird sound and looked over at Ji-hook, who was bawling his eyes out. He was glad to be with them, but thought he was totally done for. He asked them to pass on a final message to his mom back home, but Lee Yunho just told him to chill out. Ji-hook was super confused, because he thought the wound was a game ender. Ji-hook freaked out and jumped up, realizing his wounds were totally gone. Jae-hyuk still hadn't collected his mission reward yet. So Lee Yunho dropped some pro-gamer advice if he's worried about wounds. Maybe dump some points into his recovery stat. Jae-hyuk's mind was blown. Asking how Yunho even thought of something so brilliant. Lee Yunho just brushed him off and asked his age. Turns out, Yunho is 25. And they were floored. He was a year younger than them. Yunho was thinking Jae-hyuk looked at least mid-30s from his face alone. Hearing this, Jae-hyuk suddenly got super hyped up. Yunho was caught off guard when Jae-hyuk clapped a hand on his shoulder and asked to be called Juki-hyung, so they started strategizing on how to prep for the next mission. They were just waiting for the next briefing to drop. For now, they were on the 15th floor. Since it was smack in the middle of the building, getting around would be easy. And more importantly, they needed to gather as much intel as they could while they had the downtime. A little while later, Jae-hyuk was still marveling at his fully healed wound. But Yunho was acting kinda weird, which was making Jin a little sketched out too. The dude had been running around like a madman for a while. He'd figured something out. It wasn't just about collecting physical data. Don't get it wrong. Physical data definitely had the biggest impact on the process. He saw the data gathering speed actually leveled up to match his newly healed legs. Then, plot twist. He realized his mental state was a huge factor too. Once the bar hits 100%, he figured a new skill would unlock. If this were a game, he'd have picked a damage skill to wreck a few more mobs. But hey, since this was real life, he figured a skill with more real-world utility would be the smarter play. The final mission was scheduled to kick off at 3 o'clock sharp. They all breathed a sigh of relief when they heard that. Wait. The last one? Nah. That couldn't be right. The system definitely said next stage. 'Cause if it was really ending, why bother giving out rewards and skills? So, they decided to just post up on the stairs and wait for now. Since this was supposedly the last one, they were ready to go all out. The other players were definitely going to get way more savage in the next stage. Lee Yunho knew he had to level up his own prep for what's next. The mission kicked off, and the safe zone finished forming. But when they got to floor 15, they were absolutely stunned by what they saw. The absolute carnage before them. Folks were just offing each other. Way more brutal than any game. It was a live-action PvP match. Except this was for real. With the safe zone looking like a mosh pit from hell. They couldn't just charge straight in. Gotta be slick. Since who knows what loot these guys got for fighting. Suddenly, a light bulb went off in Lee Yunho's head. He grabbed Jun and Jae-hyuk. Their new plan: hit the temporary wall behind the crowd. As they were out of time. So they booked it. But Jae-hyuk was totally bugging out when he heard they had to climb that thing. Lee Yunho planned to climb the stage screen and just yeet it over. If it fell forward, it'd land smack in the safe zone. Yeah. People would get squished. But not Daidi. And, boom. They could skip the whole battle royale. His crew was floored by this big brain move. He knew a ladder was here from experience. His old job had an exhibition space. And they all had one. From up there, the whole setup looked super janky from the inside. Jae-hyuk started heaving the screen as the clock hit 33 seconds. Everyone looked up as a giant shadow fell over them. And then they all started scrambling. The huge screen crashed right down where the safe zone was. The second it hit, they leaped off and made a beeline for the center of the now clear safe zone. They had to rush before people reclaimed their spots. Of course, their timing was perfect. So, no need to go nuts. But you always gotta prep for random curveballs. Suddenly, some old dude grabbed Jun's hand and just started wailing at her. Lee Yunho dashed to help, though she shoved the guy off herself, making him stumble as she tried to bolt. The creep then grabbed her hair. Acting fast, Lee Yunho whipped out some scissors and snipped her hair. Freeing her, the old guy just froze, stunned, while Jun stared at her chopped-off hair. Lee Yunho was glad he'd snagged the scissors. He needed a weapon, or at least a makeshift one. The utility knife's blade was just way too flimsy for real action, which limited its use. Scissors aren't scary unless open, so he basically jury-rigged a blade from them. Lee Yunho booted the old dude, sending him tumbling across the ground. Just then, the clock finally ran out, and the old man started to pixelate right before their eyes. Jae-hyuk yelled. Nuna then quickly apologized, pointing out her hair. Lee Yunho got nervous. He'd totally forgotten he just chopped a woman's hair off without asking first. Or more like, ripped it off. It was a necessary evil. But he still felt super awkward about the whole thing, as she started walking right at Lee Yunho. He was bracing himself, wondering if she was ticked off. But then, she smiled and asked him to cut it even shorter, so it wouldn't happen again. He was shocked to see she was totally cool with it, and she said she might rock a short hair look anyway. But the scissors were pretty busted, making them hard to use, so Jae-hook offered to find better scissors. But Lee Yunho reminded him about the people still squished underneath. Some poor guy was screaming about his back. Only 16 survivors remained when the orientation suddenly ended. The orientation completion rewards were handed out, and the synchronization rate got a small boost. Everyone was ticked off because they were told that was the last mission. They were all justifiably confused. He looked ahead, knowing this wasn't going to be that easy. The air in front of them began to warp as a head pushed its way through. Projects were now live by Administrator Authority, and this one was called Selection. Turns out that was just the tutorial. Folks, the real party was just getting started. A little girl popped into view and started doing a head count of the survivors. No intro. No explanation. But Lee Yunho's gut screamed that this little girl was the administrator in charge. Suddenly, some guy yelled at the girl, demanding to know what was going on. In a flash, she was in his face asking who approved that outburst. Lee Yunho wondered if that kind of speed was even possible for someone who just got their starter rewards. Jae-hook nudged Lee Yunho, saying the tiny terror was looking for someone. Our boy decided to just watch for now. But then, an old lady raised her hand, claiming she was the one. Others got mad. Since she was just guessing to get attention, she just figured she'd get a prize for speaking up. The little girl overheard their chatter and gave a wicked little smile. She appeared before the grandma and asked, "So, it was you?" The old woman started stammering in absolute fear. It wasn't me, but everyone felt it. A deep chill from her icy words and the terrifying vibe she was putting out. The little girl pointed a single finger at the old woman, and her sinister energy began to flare up. The old woman just popped and collapsed. Super dead. Everyone freaked out and started screaming. First things first, the little girl had to assess her subjects, which terrified everyone. After all, she had just deleted one of them, so now only 15 remained. Her company policy was one-on-one interviews, but she was just too busy for that. She decided to do a group poll, telling them to answer correctly. She asked if any of them were athletes to raise their hands. When nobody moved, she asked if there were any celebrities, maybe some singers, actors, or anyone from showbiz. Jae-hook and June were confused. Like, why was she scouting for talent in an office complex? She then asked her final question, had anyone made a global impact? Some kid asked if being a YouTuber counted. She looked baffled and asked him what that was. He quickly said, "Never mind." She then warned him, saying, "One more useless comment and I'll rip your mouth clean off." The boy was petrified. She figured it was a bust and decided to sweep them all. She started moving things along quickly. The floor was nice and smooth, which was apparently just perfect for her. The orientation rewards were being handed out all at once, so she just hit randomize on everything and then vanished. The project selection first mission began, and the arena was activated by admin authority. System windows popped up for them, and there was no mission brief at all. They were all just confused about what to do. Lee Yunho expected the missions to change here, so they needed to prep for anything. If it was a speed game with fighting like before, agility would be the best stat. But now, this new arena variable was in play. Lee Yunho figured that picking something safe was the correct move. The tutorial was over, so the rewards were now upgrades. The loot changed to 1 mission reward point and a random box. He was surprised when a gift box materialized right before him. When he moved his hand closer, it started shaking like crazy. He wondered if it was a trap. Then suddenly they popped the gift box and saw cash, which was cool. But that prize was useless if the world was getting a hard reset across the entire planet. Civilization, as they knew it, was kaput. He needed stuff for the harder missions and rivalries ahead. In his book, the top priority was getting some armor, and number 2 was getting a better weapon. He knew a guy who could slice a person into bits with just one of his fingers. He had no idea if he'd ever face a monster like that again. He blew all 3 rewards on his legs. Now he needed a prize to close the gap. He was really hoping it would be something useful. He touched the box, and the system gave him a little congrats. He got a reward, but it wasn't a gun, sword, or shield. It looked like something way more primitive and ancient. Jae-hook got armor, and Lee Yunho, and everyone else, was floored when they heard his big prize was a rock, even if his luck stat was a skill. This was just getting ridiculous. The arena's grand opening was underway. And Lee Yunho watched June, who seemed to be loving the new dagger she got as her reward. It felt oddly perfect in her hand. It was her first time holding any knife besides one from the kitchen. She even started fixing her hair. Lee Yunho, stunned. He wondered when her mental fortitude stat got such a massive buff. Still, it was a good thing. Jae-hook and June got items that were a perfect fit. The biggest issue here was Lee Yunho. How was he even supposed to use that thing? It looked pathetic. And even a one-time throw attack wouldn't do much. When Lee Yunho checked out the stone, he thought, is this just a plain old rock? But when his hand touched it, it began to melt. Then it absorbed the diamond of the abandoned mountains. The stone was now part of his hand. He felt his hand hardening up from the inside. It became a skill. Stone skin. But due to the low absorption rate, the initial effect had a very limited range. This was a brand new skill, unrelated to any data he'd ever seen. He activated the skill, but was confused when it was just his right index finger. He sat down and began to think, just how OP can this skill be if they're giving it to me so stingily? Both Jae-hook and June were staring at Lee Yunho, shocked when his finger just punched through the floor. They saw his finger looked like stone. He knew it had high attack power and durability. But what could he really do with just a single index finger? Then he pulled up his status window and saw he could also enhance skills with the points he'd just received. He leveled up Stone Skin to level 2. And an additional manifestation range was unlocked. He chose to go with his right thumb. And now the set was complete. Then they heard the office couple fighting about money, with the girl telling the guy to put a ring on it. The team realized they were a secret item. All of a sudden, the tumbler started to move, and the arena generation was finally done. It got way harder to keep your balance as the ground began to tilt. Lee Yunho yelled for Jae-hook to grab a pillar and not let go. He saw June about to take a nosedive right into the fire, so he sprinted toward her and grabbed her hand. But then he started to fall, too. He used his 2 fingers to make 2 holes in the floor, but he was slowly starting to lose his grip. In the end, he managed to save her. But then all of a sudden a table was coming right for him. If he dodged, they'd both be toast in the fire below. Sticking together meant getting smacked by the table. But just then, a system window popped up, unlocking a brand new skill. Bam! A unique skill was born. He got level 1 acceleration. But would a little speed boost even help while they're all tied up? But hey, he had no other choice. He activated his agility, and time basically slowed to a crawl. He was holding her tight, then just let go, and she started to plummet. He vanished in a flash. Then, bam! He was right there behind her. He snatched her midair and zipped across the floor with some insane superhuman speed, dropping her off in a safe zone. She was totally stunned. And frankly, so was he. That skill just popped up. So he quickly pulled up the stats to check it out, just as he thought. It was a speed buff. To him, the world moved 5 times slower. The cooldown was 1 minute and 2 seconds. And the duration gets longer with upgrades. He started thinking, what if it lasted for 10, or even 50 seconds, or 100 seconds? That's basically a free time stop. June noticed the floor stabilized, but it still felt super wobbly. It felt like they were on a boat or dangling by a thread. Then, Lee Yunho felt the whole thing start to tilt the other way. Jae-hook came running, yelling their names. He was so glad they were okay, and they were just as relieved to see him in one piece. But the danger wasn't over. The second he moved, the floor tilted again. That's when it clicked for Lee Yunho. So this is what they meant by arena. It's a giant scale that tips if the weight's off. He recalled what the little girl said, and it all made sense. To them, everyone here was totally expendable. The crowd started moving toward the platform. Lee Yunho yelled at Jae-hook to run to the other side and balance it out. Jae-hook nodded and took off. He told June to stay put by the wall, and just like that, balance was restored. That was a close call before his cooldown reset. But Jae-hook was a quick study. Then some dude made a break for the elevator, and the floor started tipping again. He screamed his head off and froze near the flames. Everyone started freaking out. At this rate, they were all gonna take a dive. Then, Jae-hook heard Lee Yunho call out his name. Lee Yunho put a hand on Jae-hook's shoulder and just said, "Run to Jun." Jae-hook kicked it into high gear and started managing the balance. Meanwhile, some guy was just floating above, watching the whole show. His name was Chwang, and he decided to step forward, but the little girl shot him a look, telling him not to bother her while she was working. For Chwang, though, This was urgent. The mission in the 107th region was about to end. But the survivor count was at 13. She shot back. No way. That 107th region mission was designed for total annihilation. He mentioned a certain subject there who was pretty sharp. Now that he brought it up, she remembered one. The guy who flipped the safe zone panels around to save a bunch of people. Looks like an interesting player had finally entered the game. She decided she had to see this, telling him to send down the eye. Then she asked about the monster count in the 10th region. He replied that not a single one had even been caught yet, so she ordered him to send all 10 of them down. He was pretty shocked to hear that. She wanted to see if this guy was all brains or had some brawn too. Back on the platform, Lee Yunho had snatched the guy who was trying to make a run for it. Lee Yunho roared at everyone, telling them not to move an inch. He hated showing his skills, but his calculations were spot on. No time for chit-chat. If he was right, this death trap was turning back into plain old ground. Mission. One of this twisted project selection was done, and the arena powered down. Lee Yunho, totally spent, just collapsed. June and Jae-hook panicked, calling out to Lee Yunho, "Hey." At least they lived. But they were all worried. Sure, they were about to get roasted alive. Some kid asked, "Dude, how were you so fast?" Not throwing shade, just pure awe. Lee Yunho wondered which OP skill to mention, when the ceiling cracked open and a giant red eye peeked through. Talk about bad timing. Lee Yunho couldn't believe the next mission started so fast. Everyone else was just grabbing their ears and screaming their heads off. A monster cloaked in dark energy appeared. A bladebeak bird. Out of nowhere. The thing dive-bombed straight for Jae-hook, but our boy, Lee Yunho, tackled him to safety. They went flying, and the bird totally missed. The bird screeched weirdly as Jae-hook just stared, completely frozen. Lee Yunho snapped. "Dude, snap out of it already. We're trapped. And there's more than one or two of them." June then yelled to Yunho that his last trick wouldn't work this time. Lee Yunho yelled back that with no weapons, their only move was to just keep dodging. So, June marched over to a girl and demanded her sword. But she was hesitant. After some serious convincing, she tearfully gave it up. Next, June yelled at an old guy to hand over his shield. Then she tossed both the weapons straight over to our boy, Lee Yunho, who geared up instantly. The monster swarmed him as he started swinging that new sword. Then he started banging his sword on the shield, making a racket. Jae-hook was baffled, watching Lee Yunho basically taunt the monsters, with only a 60-second cooldown. How could he fight 10 of these things? The only plan was to group them up and hit them all at once. He popped acceleration, leaped in, and started taking them down one by one without any mercy. And just like that, he cleared the board. Choi Soo started reading Lee Yunho's file. Age, 29. Just a regular subjugated human. His overall evaluation, average. Special notes, none. Yeah. Right. Thought Choi Soo. Looks like the investigation bureau slacked off. With so many people to track. She snapped at him. "Are you kidding me? Does that look below average? Is the bar in District 13 just that ridiculously high?" Choi Soo was terrified and immediately started apologizing to her. "Those investigation bureau clowns. Look at their shoddy work. I knew it. You can't trust them," she grumbled. Meanwhile, back in the arena, a wiped-out Lee Yunho stood there. As the little girl watched him nervously on her screen, Choi Soo saw Lee Yunho used a speed boost. He played bait to group the monsters, knowing that taking them on one by one would have been suicide. Just yesterday, he was a total nobody. Choi Soo asked her, "Is it possible he somehow twisted the very axis of life?" She shot back. "Don't be ridiculous. The guy was a total amateur at first. All clumsy with the sword. Completely lost. So," she explained. "But, with every step, every swing, he's adapting. His ability to learn on the fly is insane." Choi Soo realized he's learning in the middle of a fight. That was the most interesting part. Even with the same sword, some use it to butcher livestock, while others command the world. She snapped her fingers, wondering, aloud. "So, Lee Yun, let's see what you've really got." She was eager to test his limits. Meanwhile, Lee Yunho was feeling woozy as the mission complete, and they started tallying the scores. When the numbers came in, our boy's mid-mission result was a glorious S rank, which totally blew his mind. His base mission reward was 1 point. with extra goodies tacked on depending on that suite. Sweet grade. He bagged 2 extra points for that S rank and a cool 1,000 welfare points. And that got his gears turning. Am I finally getting noticed? He had no clue how the heck it happened. But now with this, he could finally pull off the master plan he'd been cooking up. That's when June called out to Yunho, asking if he was all right. He was totally zoned out, making her worried. Then he finally saw June and just smiled, telling her he was totally fine. So, Lee Yunho called out to Jun, who turned his way. He was curious about her evaluation, and turns out she snagged an A rank. Next, he asked Jihook, who landed a B. It seems they were ranked for a reason, judging everyone based on their mission contribution, so June and Lee Yunho were the top dogs. Jihook, meanwhile, was smack in the middle. You know, the kind of grade for doing the bare minimum. Just like most folks, Jihook was clueless. But hey, it was better than he'd hoped. He just screamed and hid behind his hyung. Jihook looked totally defeated. June was definitely way better at handling this stuff. Lee Yunho then called over to Jihook, asking for a hand. Jihook was confused. So Yunho explained that these beaks were super tough. He figured they could be turned into decent weapons if processed right. So, Lee Yunho told him to just yank a few of them out for him. Jihook's strength stat was probably way higher than his. Since Yunho wasn't a powerhouse, he figured Jihook could totally handle it. Jihook was super pumped to help out. He was ready to pull out as many as he needed. His reaction was a bit over the top. But hey, at least he snapped out of it. June was just laughing at them from a corner. Lee Yunho went over to her, saying he needed some stick-like items. Just then, the mission officially ended, and their sync rate ticked up a bit. A mobile shop for the new test subjects was now open. Lee Yunho immediately started staring at his system window. The shop looked like it was straight out of a freaking video game. June got curious and checked it out. And soon everyone was peeking at the new system. All sorts of stuff was for sale, like a busted old sword with chips in the blade, and some random, useless-looking root, and even some armor made of woven wood. They had a decent selection, including a super watered-down fatigue recovery potion. Those welfare points were basically the store's currency. And yeah, some poor saps didn't get a single point. Lee Yunho was sitting on 1,000 points. They desperately needed weapons, but everything was total junk. Jihook also realized these points could only buy them absolute garbage. And even Jihook couldn't afford this trash. June asked him how many points he had. He only had 200. June herself had 500 points. With just 200, Jihook could maybe afford something like a busted iron sword. Just then, a light bulb went off in Lee Yunho's head. He spotted the most useful item for them right now. Yep, the broken iron sword. It was perfect for him. Jihook asked Yunho if he'd found something amazing again. He'd figured out a secret about the broken iron sword and was planning to buy it. June chimed in, asking if he was going to use it for throwing, since it was short like her own dagger. Yunho shot that down. It wasn't for throwing. While it was short, it was way too heavy. He explained that he wanted it times because times it was a crude sword. Then he dropped the bomb. He planned to use it for hilting. Jihook was just stunned. Yunho, he figured he could just strap the blade to a stick, or maybe even slap it onto a real hilt to make it way more legit. Just then, a voice shouts for Yunho to watch his back. Our boy glances over, and some sketchy dude in a hoodie and cap is walking up. The guy asks if Yunho is always this good at fighting. He gushes that Yunho was awesome, saying his short sword skills were insane. This dude bragged that shanking monsters with it felt incredible. Yunho's just thinking, how did I miss this weirdo? Who is he? Juk yells, demanding to know what the stranger's deal was. But Yunho holds him back. Our MC cuts to the chase, asking what the guy's point is. The stranger's whole vibe shifts. He gives Yunho a thumbs up, calling him cool, then taps Yunho's shoulder, hyping him up for killing the monsters. The man starts rambling on and on about points. He asks if Yunho spent his points on gear and weapons. Nearby, survivors start whispering, who is this dude? He looks shady. One says, while another chimes in, maybe he's with that psycho kid from before. Yunho realizes he messed up. People are noticing his skills. This is way too much heat. Making weapons here will just start drama. That's when Juk stepped in, grabbing the weirdo and yanking him away with a serious glare. He tells the guy to back off. The man quickly retreats, shouting he won't bother Yunho anymore. Juk whispers to Yunho they need to bounce. find monsters somewhere else, and just ditch all this attention. Yunho agrees. But then, June suddenly sits, wincing at her sprained ankle. As Yunho starts patching her up, he thinks to himself, how did I not see that? Feeling super guilty. Our MC goes over to her. He says she should have told him she was injured. Why would you keep fighting on it? Smiling. June says she couldn't just complain while he was going all out in his fights. She had to tough it out so she wouldn't be a burden. Juk chimes in, saying he really thought they'd be out of this hellhole by now. But this whole situation is just making him more stressed. It feels like some invisible wall is blocking off the entire building. Yunho adds that weird stuff like this is probably happening all over the place. And just then, the system announces to all tower survivors, the next project selection mission will start tomorrow at 9 a.m. Be prepared. The trio is totally stunned. The system almost never gives them this much of a break. Still, they figure they should rest for now. 15 hours are left, till the mission starts. Then, we see a zombified guy screaming Yunho's name. The guy is floating above him, pleading for help. He's crying out that it hurts so bad. And then, Yunho wakes up. It was just a nightmare. He's wondering, what the heck was that? A dream or some kind of vision? He smacks his head, muttering, that felt way too real. Shaking it off, he gets back to his project from earlier. Yunho starts sharpening the blade he got from the monster's beak. 5 hours before, he'd bought a busted sword from the system's market. Now, another piece of it was done. He'd asked Juk to split the head from the blade. After a ton of struggling and using all his might, Juk actually managed to do it. Now, Yunho uses his skill reward, the 3-point art, to juice up his petrification ability. He then picks the manifestation range right on the blade. As soon as the upgrade is complete, his fingertips start turning to stone. He turns to June and Juk and asks for a favor. Can you guys please find any big bags you can? He says. In the meantime, he'll be crafting weapons from the monster beak and other materials. Back in the present, Yunho knows this won't be a cakewalk. So far, he forged a single weapon from the monster's beak, sharpening the blade with his own 2 hands. Whoa! His speed just shot up. The system chimed in, congratulating him on his first milestone, bare-handed sharpening. The system dropped a reward, the title, Human Whetstone. Yunho, totally baffled, checked the description. It gave him a massive speed boost for bare-handed sharpening and leveled up his entire understanding of weapon crafting. Smirking, Yunho realized he could now mass-produce weapons. A bit later, June and Juk peeked in to check on him. The room was choked with smoke, walls scarred with sword marks. June feared Yunho had been jumped by an enemy. She screamed his name, desperate for a reply. Juk joined the chorus, just as panicked. From the smoke, Yunho's voice calmly said he was okay. When the smoke cleared, he was holding a huge, gleaming sword. Their jaws dropped. Yunho just grinned and handed the blade over, calling it a present. The Bloodbeak blade was a unique piece. Literally a monster's beak slapped onto a hilt. June and Juk were blown away, hyping up his skills. June even teased she didn't know Yunho was so good with his hands. Turns out, the wall scratches were just Yunho testing how sharp the new blade was. June and Juk said they'd found bags and stuffed them full. They're heavy, but we'll manage, they insisted. Yunho just told them it was no big deal. The food would get lighter as they ate anyway. He then explained the sword was now an item, so they could just pop it into their inventory by saying, store. A quick time check showed it was nearly 8 p.m. Yunho told them to grab their stuff and head for the lobby. Moments later, they got there, finding other survivors already gathered and waiting around. Juk stood, arms crossed, death staring that shady guy from earlier. His glare was so intense it could scare a ghost. After a bit, the system pinged everyone a map. It showed the safe point and gave them a tight 10-minute deadline to get there. Juk broke the silence, shouting, "The safe point is Seoul Station. How are we supposed to get there in 10 minutes? This whole place is a wreck." And just as he figured, this test wasn't just for their little group. Yunho cut in, saying they were out of time and had to book it. Outside, Juk's jaw hit the floor. Total devastation, bloodstains painted the ground. The whole scene was a nightmare. They could only guess what kind of hell broke loose. Our MC pushed them to get to Seoul Station for safety, so they took off running. After a bit, Juk suddenly yelled out, he sees it. The safe zone. From afar, they saw someone was already there. As they got closer, they could make him out. It was a dude with a beer bottle, looking like he'd seen better days. Yunho wondered why he was the only one left when so many had been here. Just as they got close, another group showed up. One dad carried his kid, clutching his side and trying to reassure his daughter. "Don't be scared. It's all gonna be okay." The new arrivals also clocked our protagonist's crew. All of a sudden, the system boomed. "All survivors at Seoul Station, prepare for project selection. Your next mission, the task force. Teams will be formed for this mission." The survivors started buzzing, totally confused about this new mission. Everyone knew that picking the right teammates was a life or death choice. Eyes flickered around the lobby. Then the system continued. "The mission has 3 rounds. Teams that fail objectives get eliminated." Everyone groaned. "Great." A new challenge dropped. Seoul Station wasn't safe, and failure meant a total team shuffle. The system declared. Teams got auto-formed with whoever was closest. As the pairing started, the sketchy dude near Yunho's crew was overjoyed. "Oh, thank God. I'm with Yunho's group. We're gonna live." 5 teams were made. 5 teams were made. Meanwhile, in another squad, a guy complained. "This sucks. We have 3, not 4, 'cause that dude has a kid. What's a kid gonna do?" Seriously, our MC thought to himself. This system is cold and totally ruthless. Kid or adult, you gotta pull your weight. Or else, you're expendable. The air got super tense. Then, the system announced the task force's stats would be tracked live on a leaderboard. While prepping for the mission, he and 2 others yelled out. Summon and swords just popped right into their hands. The sketchy dude in their group was totally floored. Wondering where they got those swords, he tried to summon one too. But Silsh, pissed off, he could only watch them helplessly. The system declared the Eye's administration was now active. A giant eye appeared over the survivors. Watching them, the system announced, "Take out as many foes as you can in 60 minutes. Every group formed a defense circle, on the lookout for danger." All of a sudden, enemies showed up, freaking everyone out. Jun screamed, recognizing one their assistant manager. Now, a zombie. The system had brought back the dead as enemies. The zombies charged. One got close. But then bam. The homeless guy jammed a beer bottle in its face, fighting with this sick grin. Even though he was being targeted, he was slaying zombies non-stop to protect his crew. Juk, shocked, yelled, "What the hell? How is this dude so damn strong?" His brutality was nuts. Yunho muttered, "This homeless guy, he's bad news." The homeless dude kept on fighting, mowing down zombies, while his team was just frozen. 2 zombies cornered some students. Yunho jumped in, slaying the monsters. He yelled, "If you don't want to die, then fight." Fired up, Yunho and his crew fought back. But then the nightmare began. The zombies kept getting up even after being sliced. Checking the system poll, they saw no new points were added. Their score was still a big fat 0. The sketchy dude yelled, "Why won't these zombie freaks just die?" Yunho analyzed it. Most zombies got back up, but a few stayed down. There had to be a trick to it. Then, an idea suddenly sparked in his head. Using his speed boost skill, he saw these threads coming from the zombies' heads. He followed them and found their source. He yanked a thread and bam, a parasite popped out. These bugs were controlling the zombies. When Yunho tried to slice one, it just split into 2. The problem just doubled. One parasite almost got him, but June swooped in, killing it and smashing it flat. The system pinged. Needleworm defeated. Juk quickly asked if Yunho was okay. Yunho replied with a strange look. "Yeah, I'm good." He then explained, "The zombies are being controlled by these bugs. Kill the bugs." The zombies. Their score updated. Team 1's points jumped from 0 to 1. The other teams wondered how their score changed. Yunho shouted, "Pull the silver threads from their heads. The bugs are the real enemy. Crush them." The teams pulled threads and squashed the bugs. Soon, Team 1 hit its goal. But the others were still struggling. With 3 minutes left, a guy muttered, "We're not gonna make it." Meanwhile, a man from a different team was still fighting, cradling his kid. He wouldn't let go amidst the madness. "This is purgatory," Yunho declared. "No more teams get wiped out." With his speed skill, He yanked off the threads and tossed the bugs to the guy, telling him to crush him for some quick points. Yunho sent Juk and Jun to help the teams getting wrecked. With 60 seconds on the clock, he thought, if the system wants us to fight and off each other, then we'll just break it. Resolved. He swore to shut down this stupid game. Whatever the cost, the fight raged on. But out of nowhere, the homeless dude started calling his own team scumbags. He then snatched up one of the girls, a student, calling her a disrespectful punk. He demanded to know why she stared. Was it because he was on the streets? Another student, eyes welling up and speech all messy, asked the guy what he was doing. She tried to remind him they were all on the same side. You know, the guy furiously tossed the girl aside and faced the next one. Then, boom. The system declared the mission was officially over. Round 1 was done. It confirmed 0 targets for restructuring and that every squad passed. The survivors totally lost it with joy, with many breaking down in tears of relief. But the homeless guy just mumbled, "This ain't over," staring daggers at his team, freaking them out. Our MC caught this and wondered why the psycho stare, like he was about to make them all disappear, out of nowhere. Zombies bolted at them with insane speed. Juk screamed at everyone to get their heads in the game. "The system's not even giving us a breather," he hollered. And right on cue, the system announced round 2 was on. The team went back to wrecking zombies. Our hero checked the system's leaderboard and saw every team was crushing it, their scores climbing up nice and steady. Another squad was cheering, thanking Yunho for finding the zombies' weak spots. And then, all of a sudden, a dude who looked like a cop felt a sudden heat wave. Flames erupted from the homeless guy's hand. He stared, shocked. Then a wicked grin spread on his face. Turns out the system gave him a unique skill. The homeless dude showed off his new power, wiping out zombies with ease. Seeing this, Yunho mumbled, "For a guy like that to get power, is it like mine, with a fire skill and that crazy look in his eye? He's way more of a threat than any zombie." The system then announced just 10 seconds left as the final countdown started ticking. The homeless dude, totally drunk on his new power, snatched a girl by the neck. He screamed at her, asking why she always gave him that disgusted look. His team pleaded with him to release her, but he wasn't having it. "She has no right to look at me like that," he roared. He used his fire skill to light her up and then chucked her body into the zombie horde. Witnessing this, the whole team just lost it, screaming in terror, and just like that, the system announced round 2 was finished. This time, it declared the restructuring target would be team number 3, since they didn't meet their quota for enemy takedowns. The members of Team 3 immediately started to protest this, screaming that they couldn't take out any zombies because the homeless guy had hogged all the kills. They started to fade away as the system did its thing. The homeless dude, feeling 0 guilt, just laughed with a twisted, evil grin. All the other survivors just stared at the guy, completely terrified. Our MC wondered, was this all because of our performance score? Either way, he can't let this psycho get away with this. The girl whose friend was taken out just kept weeping, holding her pal's body, sobbing and pleading for her to say something. At that moment, our MC called everyone to huddle up. He had a plan that needed some prep time, so after that little secret meeting, we don't know what they said. But next, the system told all survivors at Seoul Station a special reward would be given to the top team for their awesome performance. The survivors grumbled, yelling, "The system never said this before." At this rate, the gap between the teams was getting huge. Besides, they all knew who racked up the most kills this time. It was definitely the homeless dude. The system declared the top team for round 2 was Team 5, and that a special reward of 2 points would be granted to them. The system then gave the homeless dude 3 points. With a smug grin, the man dumped all 3 points into his fire skills. Seeing this, all the survivors could literally feel the temperature of his fire crank up. Yunho told them not to sweat it and to just stick to the plan. Everyone needed to get back to their positions right now. After the system announced the 3rd round was starting, a zombie squad began to advance. Each survivor team jumped back into the fight. RMC up front started plucking parasites off zombies and yeeting them back to Jun. She then sliced them into bits. And when she did, their stats climbed in the system pool as bonus points. Meanwhile, the dad with the kid fought on. He had kept his daughter right by his side. But suddenly he noticed she was totally gone from his side. Panicking, he feared a zombie had snatched her, or worse. But the mysterious guy on Yunho's team told him to chill out. He said he would look after his kid. The man should focus on squashing bugs so his team wouldn't fall way behind. On the flip side, Juk asked Yunho how he even figured out this whole get more points trick. Our MC replied, the performance pool felt off during round 1. He noticed their team ended with 101 points. From there, Yunho tested his theory in the second round. He realized that the more pieces they sliced each bug into, the more points the system would dish out. Meanwhile, the homeless guy kept muttering that he was the chosen one. Why wasn't he in first place? He gritted his teeth. Glaring around in a total rage, he started blasting fire, muttering he'd take everyone out. Then he charged RMC, screaming for him to just die already. At that point, the girl carrying the bottle tried to whack the homeless man, but with one swift move, the homeless man used his fire skill to completely obliterate the bottle. She was shocked and frozen on the spot. The homeless man then decided to off her before returning to RMC. But before he could use his fire skill on her, Yunho yelled and kicked on his acceleration skills. He zipped in and shielded the girl, taking the fire blast right to his left shoulder. Hunan, seeing this, quickly ripped her clothes to tie up Yunho's wounded arm. She asked if any mission rewards were left to heal him. The girl said she could heal him. She had a healing skill. But in return, could he take out the homeless dude who just murdered their friend? They were shocked she had a healing skill. But from her tone, it was clear she was dead serious. Yunho agreed, telling her to heal him. The girl held out her hand and used her healing light. He was totally healed. His skin, good as new. Though his clothes were now toast, she told him that was her skill's limit, as her level just wasn't high enough yet. RMC patted her head, praising her for doing great. He asked if she could maybe heal the other survivors later. She nodded. Now, with a serious face, RMC faced the homeless man. Our boy RMC dropped some big brain logic. The homeless guy was a lefty. Dude looked shook. RMC planned to spend the 3 mission reward points from the last round to buff his right hand and go after the homeless guy. Yunho then activated his speed skill, blitzing right behind the homeless guy. He taunted him, saying he's way too slow. Just then, the homeless guy's life started flashing before his eyes. He remembered how he'd been completely abandoned, how he found his spark in certain things, especially fire. He'd sent his abusive dad packing and his cheating wife with the gatekeeper. He was thrilled when he finally lit them all up. After spending 10 years in the slammer, he got by burning trash as a homeless dude. Then, the system hit him up about the mission, and he scored a sweet skill called Flame, a level 1 skill, straight from the system. Ever since, the homeless guy was sure he was the chosen one. I mean, can you blame him? He was planning to turn everything to ash. And now, in this mess, his left hand was completely shattered, with a loud crack. He screamed in pain but was still smiling. RMC asked what he'd do now with a busted hand. Yunho landed a heavy blow, making the homeless guy spit blood. He told him this was going to hurt just a little bit, and he just kept laying into him. The homeless man started begging for his life, but Yunho wasn't feeling merciful. On the other side, the administrator was watching them through the giant eye. She slammed her hand on the table, obviously super ticked off. 2 people had finally awakened their skills, and she totally missed it. Determined to do something about it, she decided they needed to end this fast. The healer girl snatched a broken bottle and went to town on the homeless man, finishing the job. She got her revenge with her own 2 hands. That's that, for now. However, the fire had barbecued his right hand, and even with purification buffs, the pain was insane. His fingers were shattered. Then, all of a sudden, the girl held out her hand and started to heal him. He was totally fixed up. His teammates were ecstatic about his recovery. Yunho thought to himself that with her skill, they wouldn't need to blow rewards on healing anymore. He should for sure keep her close in case they need her powers again. He voiced his thanks, telling her he owed her one. Just then, the system announced that an anonymous observer was very pleased with Yunho's performance. As a result, a special gift had arrived. Meanwhile, the administrator was frowning. She realized the whole restructuring process was being broadcast live on the company's monitoring system. Observers would often tune in to support their favorite players. The guy in the suit told the administrator that the restructuring manual clearly says that no selectors can receive any support funds. Lost in thought, the administrator realized, these aren't supports, they're gifts. That means a higher-up is definitely pulling for Yunho. The guy warned it's risky and she shouldn't get another warning. But she totally blew him off, saying it's fine and vowing to make Yunho's next mission way harder. Meanwhile, RMC was checking the system messages and spotted the gift, which came with a letter from his inventory. The others spotted a mysterious box and wondered what was actually inside it. The mysterious hoodie guy tried to grab the gift, but found out he couldn't collect it, deciding to open his gift. Yunho ignored all the noise. After opening the box, he was literally shocked. The system ID'd the item, slap it on a weapon, and it zaps foes with some serious high-voltage electricity. The whole team's jaws dropped, totally hyped by its potential. He used his petrify skill, turning his hand to solid stone, to keep from getting zapped himself. He then coated his sword in the oil, making it a massive electric blade. The team geeked out over the weapon. Juk blurted out that he was dying to see that thing in a real fight. With a small smirk, Yunho warned them not to get their hopes up just yet. Then the system pinged every survivor in Seoul Station. At 1 p.m. The next mission is going live. The survivors all groaned. Then checked the time, 12:59 p.m. Only a single minute to go. At exactly 1 p.m. the system announced the mission start. A safe zone is on a moving train. Survivors have just 5 minutes to get on board. Panic ensued as Yunho shouted, "It's the boarding platform. Everybody, run for it now." The survivors bolted as fast as they could. "How can we even get there in 5 minutes?" someone cried out, their voice shaking. Yunho snapped, "Stop whining and run. Unless you want to become a corpse." June just collapsed, tears streaming, thanking Yunho for everything. Yunho shook his head. "Don't start thanking me yet." But they were totally lost, confused about which way to the train and the safe zone. Yunho pointed to the right. "This way. Follow me to the safe zone." "No." Jun shot back. "My notification says it's to the left." It was chaos, as they saw each survivor had a different target. This wasn't teamwork, it was a battle royale. Yunho got to his safe zone, but the system changed the game. A notification flashed. "Mission starts in 10 seconds, even on the train." The system's massive camera eye squeezed into the tiny space, staring him down, watching his every move. Suddenly, a gnarly creature called the Ghost appeared. The system announced, "You get 3 tries to eliminate the ghost." Yunho stared, shocked. It was hideous. He petrified his hand and summoned his Electro blade. A system message popped up. "The Electro blade has 10 electric charges." The ghost shrieked, a piercing sound that messed with Yunho's head. "Can't waste time," he thought, yelling, "Acceleration?" But no sound came out. Confused, he tried again. The ghost's scream had completely muted him, making his voice skills totally useless. Annoyed, Yunho adapted on the fly, with the blade glowing. He dodged the creature's first swipe, then plunged the electric sword into the ghost, letting loose a huge burst of power. The system dinged. Ghost eliminated. A wave of relief hit Yunho as he admired the sword's raw power. "This might make up for losing my skill," he thought, but his relief was cut short. The system blared. "Mission failed. A penalty will be applied." He was sure he'd won. Meanwhile, the administrator Haruna watched on with a nasty grin. She sneered under her breath. He carelessly used a gift from an observer. Knowing the ghost was designed to shut down voice-based fighters like Yunho, he had no idea 9 charges were still left in his blade. A new notification started blaring. "Anyone outside the safe zone gets eliminated. Penalty for mission failure: ghost evolves into a greater ghost." The greater ghost roared, and Yunho realized the job wasn't done. He had to clear more than this one car, he figured, finding his courage. Yunho roared, exaltation, juicing his Electro blade for a swift, shocking strike. He totally wrecked the greater ghost. The system pinged. Car 18 cleared. But there was 0 time to party. It dawned on Yunho he had to clear the whole train. From a distance, Hara smirked, dead set on his failure by abusing her administrative powers. She started buffing the monsters on the train. No matter what, she wanted him completely erased.